To make our glitzy key pendant, we've got a bunch of fun things here that we're going to use to build our design. The first thing we have is some vintage keys that we got at the flea market. We've got some metal filigrees here in different metal finishes. These are from the craft store. They sometimes have them in the scrapbooking section or in the jewelry making section. We've got some vintage brooches and rhinestone clip-on earrings here. The clip-on earrings, a lot of them have lost their mates, so they're perfect for a project like this. We've got a piece of chain, a piece of ribbon, and finally we've got some flat back rhinestones, and these are Swarovski crystals, and we just love Swarovskis because they're super vibrant. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to move these other keys out of the way, and I've got a little piece of cardstock or cardboard here that I'm going to work on so that I don't get glue on my work surface. And I like this key. I'm going to start with this one, this schlage, however you say that key. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to tie this little piece of organdy ribbon through the little keyhole at the top. And you'll see why later. This is going to be our answer to a pendant bail. This is a fun little cheat that you can do if you don't have a bail for your pendant. So I'm going to start with that and just leave that there out of the way. And the next thing we're going to do is glue one of these gorgeous filigrees right here over the main part of our key. And you can just pick up the different filigrees and lay them down, see which one you like the size of. That one kind of dwarfs the rest of the key, so I don't love that one. That one looks a little bit small. Try this one. Oh, that one's fun. That one kind of matches the shape of the key. I think I like that one. So I'm going to use E6000, which is one of our most favorite glues for this kind of project. It's especially great for gluing metal to metal. So what I'm going to do is take our glue, and I'm going to put some on the back. And I know that some of the glue is going to come through, but that's okay, because we're going to glue something to the front of this filigree. You don't need a ton. You just kind of cover the back like that. We love this glue because it's nice and viscous, which means it's not going to drip all over everything. It's going to just sit right where you want it. So I'm just going to press that down onto my key. And it stays tacky for a little while, so you can kind of move it around to get it positioned how you want it, just like that. Now I think we want to add a vintage brooch right here in the front. And these brooches, like I said, some of these are vintage brooches with a little pin back on the back. And some of them are earrings, and this one's actually a vintage button. And if you have one that has a pin back like this, use a pair of kind of your not fantastic wire cutters. You don't want to use your fancy jewelry cutters for this. And you can just snip the pin back off. You might have to work it a little bit to get it off, but we do this pretty often and they come off pretty easily. And you can do the same if you have a shank on the back of a button like that. You can just snip that off. So I'm going to see which one I want to use here. Again, this is just trial and error. It's kind of fun to do this with a group of friends because you can lay a bunch of materials out and take turns seeing which ones you like, which combinations you like. I like this turquoise brooch, so I think I'm going to put it right there over our filigree. So to do that, I'm going to put the glue on the parts that are raised up because I know that that's where they're going to touch that filigree. So add some glue like that. And if you get glue strings, you can always twist your glue like that and it'll break the little string, the little tip. So I'm going to place that right over the center, kind of coming down the center of my filigree, like that. Looking good. Now I think I want to embellish this part of the key, just to continue this transformation of this key. And to do that, I've got a bunch of rhinestones here. And I think what I'd like to do is alternate the colors here, maybe of these clear ones and these turquoise ones. That'd be nice. Let me get these over here, make it easier. Now, when we work with rhinestones, we have a little trick for that. We like to use, again, the E6000. I'm going to put a dollop of it on my work surface here. Not a ton, just a little bit. And then I've got a toothpick and tweezers. And this is the best way, I think, to use or to apply rhinestones onto a project. I'm going to pick up my rhinestone, flip it over, and these are flat back rhinestones. Again, you need it to be flat back or it won't sit right. I'm twirling a little bit of my E6000 onto my toothpick, and then I'm going to just apply that glue to the back of my rhinestone, not a ton, and then I can use my tweezers to just set that rhinestone down. I can use the other end of my toothpick to kind of help me position it like that. There we go. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to alternate the colors of these just because I think that's fun. Get a little bit of glue. Whoops, that one flew right off into my lap. Get another one. A little bit of glue on the toothpick. Put it right there on my rhinestone and then set that down. And again, I'm going to use the other side of my toothpick to kind of get it in position. And like I said, this is a fun kind of project to do with friends because you can lay out all the materials on the table and everybody's glitzy key will look a little bit different, and that's super fun. You can have everybody bring a collection of things from the flea market to put on their keys. You can also raid your jewelry stash, like a broken jewelry, and turn all those broken baubles and things into a new piece of jewelry, which is fun. Great way to give it new life. Here we go. One more. It's much easier to use a toothpick to apply the glue to the back of these rhinestones than to try and squeeze out the right amount. It's almost impossible to do that. There we go. That looks beautiful. And the last thing we want to do is attach our pendant to the chain. Now, my pendant is still wet, so I'm going to do this carefully, but you can wait about 15-20 minutes and let your glue set up better. And then what we're going to do is use the ribbon that we attached to the top of the key, and we're going to tie it onto the chain. So I just laid the chain on top, and I'm going to tie it once, and then I'm going to tie it one more time so I've got it knotted. Let me move my little glue piece out of the way here so I don't get glue on this. So I tied it nice and tight to my chain. And now I'm going to just use a pair of scissors to trim. And I'm going to leave these ends a little bit long because that's part of the look, is to have a little bit of the ribbon kind of sticking out. And I'm cutting my ends at an angle just because I like how that looks. And there we have our beautiful glitzy key pendant.